Hello everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the Live Well channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by and for checking out this conversation. I'm so happy you're here. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that we don't miss seeing you and you don't miss things that we upload. There's also a little bell there you can click to get notified, and if you like this particular conversation, you can hit that like button as well. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this conversation because Laura is bringing the goods, okay? We are talking about trusting intuition. That's not something I recall talking a lot about throughout my adult life. So I'm very excited about what she has to say. I'm excited to share it with all of you. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everybody. So excited about today's conversation. We have Laura Noel here today. Before we get into what I'm so excited about, let me introduce our guest. Laura is the CEO of Stretch into Success. She's also a certified mindset and leadership coach. She's the founder of the Rat Race Reboot podcast. She's an author. She's amazing. She's all the things. So let's turn it over to Laura to hear a little bit more about her. Over to you, Laura.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time. I'm grateful to be here. And I love our journeys. I love how we were serving together for a time, and then we kind of went our separate ways, and then we're kind of merging back again, similar journeys. I'm just really grateful for this journey of life, really, and where life has led me after my career in the Air Force in the realm of leadership and coaching. I've been doing that since I've retired in 2017. Then writing a book and starting a podcast, both by the name of Rat Race Reboot, and just sharing some of those lessons that I've learned and that I've helped guide clients through. And now I am expanding those things that I've been teaching and coaching, and I'm in a doctoral program. I have roughly a year left, and I'm working in organizational leadership and psychology with a concentration in neuroscience. So really having a deeper understanding of the mind and the brain and what's happening and the science and psychology behind decision-making and leadership. So that's kind of where I am in a nutshell right now.
Yeah, and I love to, because before we hit record, we were talking briefly, and I had mentioned about I'm sure she's busy and she's doing all these things, and obviously just from what I introed on you and what you just shared, it sounds like there's a lot going on. But this is a really important opportunity for me to talk about real quick about the Rat Race Reboot podcast, because it is an incredible podcast to let people into the mindset shift that has to take place when it comes to wanting to change something in your life. And so I just thank you for your work you're doing there, because I love it. I think it's great. And the guests you have on and the messages you have to share really very much in alignment with what we're sharing here too.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. I'm excited about this topic because I think that on the Live Well channel here, we are trying to discuss, make space for conversations in all aspects of wellness, which is vast for a reason. So there's so much when it comes to how are we taking care of ourselves. And the topic we're going to discuss today is trusting intuition, which is not necessarily something that I have had many conversations about in my adult life. Very important too. So talk to us a little bit about what that means and why it's really important for our own well-being.
Yeah. So, a lot of us high achievers out there, we're pretty much analytical. I mean, we can have creative aspects to us, but we're used to leveraging our analytical mind to do a lot of things, do all of the things. But there's a part of our mind that opens us up to new possibilities, and that's our intuition. And we typically don't give that a lot of weight because it seems a little bit, out there and not definitive in terms of something that you can measure like you could if you're using your analytical mind. But it's a part of our mind that I don't I don't suggest that people leverage just their intuition and then abandon that analytical aspect of themselves, because we have both. But learning how to listen to yourself and listen to your inner guidance, like, what's right for you. Just kind of like when you're walking down a dark alley and you feel that chicken skin on the back of your neck and you're like, I don't think I want to walk down this way. How many times have you experienced something like that and you ignored that little, oh, that doesn't make analytical sense, I'm going to keep going, and then you wished you had listened to yourself? That intuition is the part of your mind that tells you, bring the umbrella, even though it's beautiful and sunshiny out, and then you ignore it, and then you get poured on when you step outside, right? So I think that's an important part to learn to listen to develop trust in, and then it's a piece of you that you can leverage. And I didn't always listen to my intuition. I'll give you an example. When I was serving in the Air Force for many, many years, my intuitive guidance was telling me, take yoga teacher training. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. What am I going to do with this? And who's going to pay for it? We have our tuition assistance, the GI Bill, and all this stuff. And it doesn't really fit into that mold. So I kept pushing it aside. But for years, I kept getting these nudges and I kept pushing them away. And then finally, probably it was around 2015 is when I got just a really strong nudge. And I said, you know what? Okay, I don't care. It doesn't make sense. I surrender. I'm going to listen. It just keeps coming up. I'm just going to do it and pay for it. Well, when I did, the timing of that was so incredible. It was on weekends over a summer, so it was easy to fit into my schedule. After I said yes, I didn't even know what the schedule was. And then prior to that was when we had leave time, and we took block leave at the same time. But during that window, the yoga teacher said, hey, if you're taking this yoga teacher training, there's a guy on the North Shore who teaches about yoga philosophy, and it's a nonprofit, and he does it for free. You have to read this book. You have to have a comment on every chapter. Otherwise you'll be booted out. So I attended that. But what happened for me is I got more connected to the spiritual part of yoga, and that changed my world. It was like I needed to be there, and I was there at the right time, all because I listened to my intuition. And then I went to a personal development seminar after having had this class, thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if I could bottle this up in a curriculum and infuse it with leadership, this is what I want to do. And for years, I had been searching for my purpose. I felt lost and like I didn't know what was next, or what am I going to do for the rest of my life. But that opportunity and me listening to my intuition opened up so many doors, like almost automatically, and it led me to where I am today.
Incredible testimony. And I think that something I've learned along the way is that our intuition, our inner voice, that tug that we feel, it's got to be the greatest advice giver in the world.
Yeah.
Like it has, once I kind of flipped that switch for myself, it has not done me wrong. Like has not steered me the wrong way. I am trusting in the process more. But until that point, when we do get that feeling and we say, our practical side kicks in, our analytical side kicks in, what, and kind of sort of takes over, what other barriers, or why does that happen? Do you think? Why are we so, why do we turn away from the intuition piece of it?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is fear of the unknown. So if we are used to following our analytical guidance system, when we're setting goals, for example, for ourselves, we typically set goals that are logical. They're SMART goals. They're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, with a timeline attached to them. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but we're so used to doing that. But as a consequence, we will typically set goals that we know we can achieve. And so I know I did this. If I could analytically construct the how I was going to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes, I'm in. Let's do it. Then I would set the goal. And, back in my day, it would look like from the outside looking in that I was setting all these big goals, but I didn't feel fulfilled because they were actually smaller than I was capable of achieving. And we all typically do that. If we're only doing what we know we can do, we're only tapping into a small part of ourselves. Yeah. So we have to get up there where the air is a little bit thin and push our comfort zone and set goals that are exciting and scary at the same time. And we have no idea how we're going to get there. And we have to learn to trust our intuition because we can't analyze our way toward that goal. There has to be some other parts of ourselves that we have to tap into. So I think, that fear of the unknown is a part of it because our brain is designed to keep us comfortable. And so when we're stretching out of our comfort zone, even if it's something that we know we really want and is good for us, even if we're not satisfied with where we are, it's more comfortable to stay where we are, even in that dissatisfaction, than it is to go towards something we want. That's why a lot of people will stay where they are. So it's fear, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you talk about mindset a lot, and I think sort of a follow-up question, I suppose, is, the shift in the mindset of, what's the shift that we need to make for us to start letting go of that fear? Because fear ruins everything. It ruins everything. Yeah. So what can you start to tell yourself or lean into more with your mindset?
Yeah. So I learned to trust and learn about, and this is what Bob Proctor taught me. And this is, it's beautiful because I'm learning about this in my psychology degree too, and so he taught me about our mental faculties, our imagination, our intuition, our ability to reason, our perception, our memory, our will. Okay. And he taught me how to leverage those mental faculties and put more weight and stock into those and belief into those than what I see, taste, touch, smell, and hear. And so when I'm faced with an obstacle, I'll give you an example. When I first started coaching, I had a goal in terms of how I wanted to expand and grow my business and what I wanted to be receiving in response to what I was giving. And also I had a goal for giving. We would do the combined federal campaign and a few $100s here and there. It seemed like a lot to me back then. And I didn't really get into the habit of doing tithing, at least 10% of gross income, what I brought in. And as I was transitioning out of the military and starting my business, I'm like, well, I don't know what my income is because I haven't earned it yet. And it wasn't something that I was getting, regularly. It wasn't guaranteed. But I put trust and faith in, look, when I transition, this is what I want to be earning, at least to start. And this is what I want to give. So I started giving that amount. And it was scary. I'd never given so deeply before. And I trusted that the money would come to support my giving. I didn't wait for the money to come and then give. Yeah. So that's a different way of doing things. But one time I thought, it was probably about a year and a half later, I'm like, Laura Noel, don't you believe what you're coaching? You said you wanted to 10 times your contribution and you're waiting for the income to come. And so I said, all right, give another 1,000 right now, do it. And I was like shaking and scared and I did it. And the next day, clients came out of the woodwork to support that giving. They were nowhere on my radar. Okay. And then maybe a month later, I'm like, okay, I'm going to triple my giving. I'm going to do it again. And then I'm like, wait a minute, am I doing it to gain And then I started overanalyzing it. No, this is a cause I care about. I'm giving to give, and I'm just going to do it. I did it. A person booked a call with me. And when I called them back for our appointment, there were 4 people in her car. And I would never do this. And I just said, well, I don't mind having this conversation if you don't mind. And then she's like, okay, I'll put you on speakerphone. All 4 of them became clients that supported my giving. So this, it doesn't make logical sense, but I use my mental faculties to guide my decision making. I made decisions like the person I want to become in the future versus making decisions based on what I had right now, what I see, taste, touch, smell, and hear right in front of me. And it's a mind exploding experience, but that's what I teach my clients, and that's what served me well.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I have to go back to the fact that when you were writing out a strategy for how you wanted to expand your business, I am almost guaranteed that where in there wrote, I'm going to get on a call with 4 people, go speaker, and then they're all going
No.
That's not how it works, right? But to trust and believe in that, I think, what we're talking about is that taking the leap of faith in yourself, in your own instincts, in the process that you're on, or the journey that you're on. Just trusting that is scary. It is scary, and you don't get to the mindset shift that you've made without going through that. I mean, but one thing that has been huge for me is the scarcity mindset versus abundant mindset. And, I used to just, there not be enough, there's not enough money, or I have to hold on tight and we can't spend here or there. And it was over consuming me in that scarcity mindset. And once I just took a leap of faith and said, I have a direction in which I want to go, and I don't want to be tied down by that mindset anymore, the floodgates opened.
Yes. Yeah.
We quadrupled our savings in a year and a half. And I didn't get another job. It was just freeing up the mind for that. And, one thing I do kind of want to share this testimony for myself, not to do with finances, but I had always, right before I was about to retire, I had always wanted to be a keynote for one of our leadership graduations. It was just something I always wanted to do, but the clock was running out, time was ticking, and no one was knocking down my door. Okay. So I was like, okay, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to just ask, I'm going to ask, hey, do you need somebody to come be a mentor and a keynote speaker for graduation for the leadership course? And the guy was like, yeah, sorry, no, we don't. And he was the local guy. And he was like, no, we don't. We're all scheduled out for a year. I was like, okay, well, I guess I can mark that goal off. Not but a month later, I get a phone call and connection that they want me to do an hour-long presentation on personal growth to not the students or the graduates, but to the 300 instructors that teach the class.
Wow.
And so I sat there and in that moment, the thing about this too, Laura, and I wonder if you agree, is just stay aware, stay open, right, pay attention to what's going on. So I hung up that call and I was like, well, a door closed and French doors opened.
Yes. That's so beautiful. Because if you think about, even I didn't expect 4 people in a car to come on board and be clients. I never would have conceived of that. So we analytically think this is what I want and this is exactly what I'm going to do to get there. But when we're shutting all the other doors and windows that are possibilities, and we have no idea how things are going to unfold. And if we can be open, even when I was in the Air Force, before I came on board as a commandant, and I was starting to get into this mindset work and practicing it, the role of commandant was open. And there were a bunch of female chiefs, not that many on the base. And I don't know why, but a couple of us reached out and said, why aren't we getting together? So we went out for a girls' night. It was just a few of us. And my predecessor and I got there first, and we were just talking, and I learned that she was leaving, and I was surprised, and I'm like, wow, who's taking your role? And she's like, oh, are you interested? And so I ended up applying, but I didn't know that that the role had already been filled and the job was closed. So I kept calling people and saying, I'd like to apply. I just found out about this. Even somebody I knew, somebody that we mutually knew, I called them, and they actually went on the phone, like I was a big inconvenience. That's been out 2 weeks ago and it's closed. Well, great. I didn't know that. And so finally, what ended up happening, I was getting on a cruise, and right before I got on the cruise, I put a package together. My boss was packing out her household goods. I was at home. Public affairs was running to her house to get her to sign the letters of recommendation. I called AFPC and I just said, you know what? It's me again. Thank you for not hanging up on me. I'm going to submit this anyway, and I'm going to go on vacation. Even though I was getting no. It didn't make logical sense for me to keep going, but I'm like, this is for me. This is meant to be. I went on vacation. I did a keynote speech right before I went on vacation. New leadership came in who I'd never met before. They heard. And when I got off the cruise, I got a call saying I got the role. And there were things that happened behind the scenes where I think that person was looking for a higher position, and then they put her somewhere else to kind of line her up for that, which was awesome. So it left it open. It's like, but we don't know. I could have very easily said, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't meant to be. I missed the boat. But you trusting that intuition. It doesn't mean that you be a jerk. I didn't fly around on a broom and like demand, take my application. I just said, no, I felt very calm and at ease. And I just trusted, and I didn't care how silly I looked. I just did it. And that's played out so many times throughout my journey.
Yeah, I think that's your just being your assurance, your self-assurance of, like you said, we don't advocate jerkiness here on the Live Well channel.
No.
so not at all, right? No, absolutely. That's a great point though, because, if it's something that you feel is right for you, something that you want to do, stepping into it and not shying away from it. That's the thing, because I always believe that too. If I wanted something, I felt very comfortable in letting it be known that how are people, the universe, how is anybody going to help you out if you don't even know what you want and you're not, clarifying that. So I think that's a really key step in the process too. But leaning in and just and trusting, and I think we need type A people. I think that we need to really, this is a hard one, Laura, but letting go of the how is really difficult. Yeah, it's because it seems like we're not, for me, I'll speak for me. It seems like before I was able to do that, I was like, well, if I don't know the how, then I'm not really setting myself up for success because I haven't done the research in the how. But what I found was my hyper focus on the how had me walking on a pathway with blinders, and everything that I actually wanted was on the side with big signs going, hey,
this way,
right? And I'm like this, nope, gotta stay the how, I already have my plan. So I think that's a really, breaking away from that. Question for you about, as you mentioned, yoga. And I know a bit about you, so I know the listeners don't necessarily know this, but what tips do you have for allowing us to create that space where we can listen a little bit more closely?
Yeah. I mean, you have to take responsibility for your results, and you have to create space for yourself. You have to claim it. And it starts with you making a decision that that's what you're going to do first, and then you'll figure out the how. But what I recommend is first thing in the morning, Even if you have to get up 15 minutes early, it doesn't have to be that you're meditating under a bridge for 2 hours or 2 days, right? You you could take 15 minutes in the morning, get up 15 minutes earlier, get a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and just journal about what it is you want, or just pose the question quietly in your mind, and then just sit quietly and just don't scroll through your phone, don't check your emails, take care of you first, and then just listen to any ideas, even if they don't make sense, that kind of emerge and bubble up. Practice. This is a practice, right? And so after a week or two of doing this, you might have a journal with you and write down some things that you visualize or that you see, or words that come to your mind. And after a couple weeks, you might start to see themes emerge. So doing that first thing in the morning, totally key. But you can also get a lot of benefit by setting an alarm, if you wear an Apple Watch or some kind of alarm on your watch, and taking 30 seconds, setting the alarm maybe 3 times in the day. Just stop what you're doing and then just breathe. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and just get reconnected with yourself. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? What do I need right now? So you're just getting in the practice of asking yourself these questions, and then listen and follow through. So that's a good starting point.
That's a great starting point. And I really appreciate the fact that you had mentioned minutes. Like you said, you don't have to be 2 hours or 2 days under a bridge. But that's really important, because when things are so overwhelming and loud and distracting, it's hard to even get one deep breath in sometimes. And so I love that small pockets of time, 30 seconds, you're giving yourself something in that day. That is definitely something I advocate for. Is what does that look like for you? What is that thing that you give yourself just for you and your mind and your soul, just for you? And so I really love that. My morning routine, when I was coming up from rock bottom, essentially, my morning routine consisted of 5 minutes. That was it. That's all I could muster. And it was 5 minutes of, I just happened to be looking at some stickers as I was like, let me play with this planner that I spent thousands of dollars over the course of 5 years on, all the journals and the planners.
Yeah, right.
And so I started and all the stickers were positive affirmations, and they were just reaffirming good things in my life. And then, I did that for a couple weeks, and so on and so forth. And now I'm sitting at a 2-hour morning routine that is non-negotiable, and it is for me.
Yeah.
And so I love that you did that, small pockets of time, So, wow, this is amazing. And this has been really, really, educational, but educational seems too surface level. For me, this is really something I want folks to take to heart. Trusting your instinct and trusting that inner voice. And so what would you say, as we kind of wrap up this conversation, what would you say is something you want the listeners, viewers to walk away from and stepping into this for themselves?
Yeah, I would say don't discount claiming small pockets of time for yourself, just to be, not to do, just to be alone with your thoughts. So 5 minutes, if that's what you have, start there. Start where you are, and don't compare yourself to where other people are. You can build on it. And to start learning to trust your intuition, you can actually practice it with people who are close to you. Maybe you could say, hey, Mary, I'm getting the sense you might be a little frazzled here. Am I accurate? Am I on point here? And you would give me feedback. Well, no, actually, I'm not frazzled. I was just frustrated with doing this computer thing over here for a minute, but I'm okay. But yeah, thanks for noticing. Or no, you're not right. Try again. But you're absolutely right. But you get practice trying that with people who you already know, trying and testing your intuition and reading other people. And so you can practice that, so you can have that immediate feedback.
Oh, I love that you've used the word practice a couple times in
Yeah.
different portions of the conversation, because that's exactly what it is. This isn't like a flip a switch. Everything is, where you want to be. It's a practice and a journey. And I'm sure just like myself, you are learning things all the time. Right?
Yes.
Every day something new. No, that's just really resonates with me. So thank you for that. So before we close up, everything that every way to contact you, I suppose, is going to be listed in the description box below this video. But just because they're going to want to know, are you actively taking clients right now, or no?
Yes. So I do work one-on-one with clients in a coaching capacity, and I also work in organizations teaching a lot of these concepts and leadership with organizations, small teams, for-profits, non-for-profits. So you can reach out to me and we can see what might be a good fit for you or your team.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Yes. So like I said, everybody check out below. Also, I happen to be a guest on Rat Race Reboot. So if you want to hear more from myself and from Laura talk about that, that'll be linked as well below. So you could check that out. But thank you so very much, Laura, for being here. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh my goodness. That was awesome. I know it's a biased response, but I'm so grateful for Laura having spent some time with us so that we can learn from her and her experience and her testimony as well. So good. I hope that you took away just as much as I did. Thank you so much for stopping by, for hanging out with us. Don't forget, we are listing everything below in the description box on how to get in contact with Laura if you'd like to work with her, how to listen to her podcast, where you can pick up her book. All the things are below in the description box. As always, thank you for being here. Remember to be well and live well. Bye-bye.